Hello, everyone. My name is Penelope Nozitelho. I'm from the Oikos Nazarene chapter, and I'm here with Clementine, and she's here as part of the collaboration with Next Gen Lead. So Next Gen Lead is a 3-week virtual program which is currently underway and is organized by Oikos International, Swiss Next Brazil, and enabled by Movita. And the program generally aims to lay out a worldwide foundation for a virtual community of students to start a dialogue on responsible leadership and sustainability while setting the ground to practice responsible leadership and competence. And finally, for students to actually take ownership of their own education. So at this point, I am going to ask Clementine to introduce herself.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm Clementine Robert. I'm the president of Oikos International in 2019 and 2020. And I started my journey in Oikos in a local chapter, Oikos France, when I was studying um, in management education, basically.
Okay, thank you so much. So as per our previous discussion, you said you'd like to talk about transforming higher education, especially in relation to Oikos International. Yes, can you tell us more about that? Can you start us off?
So basically, there Oikos International, if we go back to the mission, right? It's about empowering students to become change agents. It's about raising awareness towards sustainability, opportunities and challenges. And it is also to build um, institutional curriculum reform. So it's part of our mission to really transform education and to
Mhm.
make sure students are taking this ownership of education. And we see the need today of how much education needs to um, get transformed, to evolve, so the next generation of leaders can really be equipped with the proper tools, the proper mindset, with everything that they need to face the challenges that are now there and that are also coming up in this quite challenging times in the century. And so Oikos International is really doing this from a stakeholder perspective to bring the innovation and the change there. Um, we think that it is very important, and that's our role, to support the local student movements and clubs and associations and youth in general. We need to shift things around a bit at the international level as well. And it's very hard for a local chapter to do so, or for a local club to do so. So it's our role to step up, be the voice of the students, and try to really bring the change and make the innovation happen at the international level with a lot of different stakeholders we are in relation with.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So I will obviously have a couple of questions that I have personally, and I think other students from around the globe will have for you. My first question would be, what actually led you guys into this direction, not just to have local oikos chapters, but actually to have one international chapter to bring all those local chapters together and like pioneer an international movement instead of just like localized movements in different areas?
So the question is, what? I'm
What
sorry, I didn't
actually,
at the beginning.
sorry, what actually pushed you guys to go international instead of just focusing on like a couple of local chapters?
Yes, very important question. So, originally, Oikos has been created 33 years ago, and it was
Mhm.
one local chapter trying to bring the change locally in one university. Um, Now we are over 40 chapters around the globe on all the different continents, and we see the power of this in order to inspire each other to make the change, and also to have this credibility when we speak up at international events with our partners at the international level, we have credibility because we represent a certain number of students trying to bring the change and innovate locally to make the education system include the responsible leadership part, which is capital. And maybe the question here is how we do it concretely. How do we, at the international level, we really manage to work with other international organizations? So, for example, we are the voice of the students in the Prime. So UN Prime is the UN Principles for Responsible Management Education body, and we are representing the students there in order to share our perspective on the matter. It's very important to include students at local level, international level, in all the education related questions, because we are the one taking that education. So it's important to be included there, and that's why we work with the maximum of partners at the international level. If we look at the positive impact rating, which is a project we are doing in order to make the business school the best for the world and not in the world, to really increase their positive impact. It's a student-driven initiative as well, and there are many supporters of this, like WWF or Oxfam, etc. So it's very important to have international organization on board to make sure that what we're doing is all going in the same directions and not in different directions as well. So we need to think innovatively, we need to think the change properly, because the change is happening and the students really need to feel accompanied, right? To be the leader of this change and make the world a bit better in the end. So that's why for us, working with a maximum number of allies, now I'm talking about international organizations, NGOs, etc., but there are the businesses as well, right? The economy is composed of businesses and companies. So it's very important that they are also around the table at local and international level. Including all the stakeholders will make it journey which might be a bit more difficult, because you need to align with each other and agree and move on. However, it would be way more powerful and way more impactful to really make the change that are needed.
Okay, thank you so much for that. The one thing I like about what you just said is you work with not only national groups in society like where I am right now, but you also step out and go international. You work with people like WWF, Oxfam, and most importantly, the UN. So for me, that's like really interesting, because as a student, like students all over the world who are part of the oikos international chapter, it's important to know that what we're doing isn't just for us. It's not only for my small community or my country. It's actually supposed to like pioneer a worldwide movement to make a difference internationally, as you were saying. So that's really important. And that's where my next question is going to come in. How important do you think it is? Like, I know how important it is, but let's talk to the other students out there, how important it is for them to actually be part of Oikos International, because it's not just about being part of Oikos, the organization, but being part of Oikos International and what it does and what it champions for and the voice that it gives us.
Yes, I think it's a way to learn, it's a way to grow, it's a way to experience. We are a big laboratory, and the goal for us is to innovate so we can bring the change that we see is needed, right? So being part of Oikos International in different local chapters, or being part of other international or local student associations related to sustainability, is, I think, a very good step to really explore discover yourself, your who you are, what you want, but also make a concrete impact already, right? And change things and walk the talk. We said a lot. Many people are talking about things, but by being part of the student movement, you are also walking the talk. You are doing what you're saying. So I think it's also very important to move toward this action. And we can see with the climate strikes last year, the student movement is very strong those days, and it's very important to take that into consideration, to join it if you're a student, to collaborate with it if you're any other stakeholder, because now we have reached this point where we are all ready to really co-create the things we need. We need to be we need to have this intellectual courage to really move on, and make the change happen in the education system. It's very difficult. It's not easy for anyone. But if we do that together, if we understand each other, it's very important to listen to each other. It's very important to understand each other, because we come from different backgrounds with different perspectives. We don't have the same priorities. So it should not be a fight, but it should be a constructive journey, right? So that's very important. And Oikos International is not doing that by itself. There are many student organizations out there doing the same, maybe in different ways because there are different paths, but the end goal is the same. So it's also very important to collaborate within the student movement, right? Between student organizations, whether you are at the local level or you are at the international level. And we do that in our projects. We really collaborate with a lot of other student organizations, such as Net Impact for positive impact rating, or Rethinking Economics for all the pluralism economics we want to bring in the education, etc. So we do collaborate also with student organizations because this is key. We need to be united to make this change happen, even though, as I said, there are different paths to make it, and it's good that we are all exploring those different paths.
Okay, thank you so much for that. That was very insightful. Like one of the last things you spoke about was the projects and the programs that you work on with other partners. I'm guessing this is one of the projects or programs that you're working on right now, the Next Gen Lead and responsible leaderships with students like me interviewing people who are in leadership and responsible leaders in sustainability. So can you tell us more about those types of programs or projects, and even like just elaborate on this current program as well, the Next Gen Lead?
Yeah, so the Next Gen Lead is a key element for students, because it brings this local aspect with local hubs for students to connect with a certain reality at the local level, right? And then it connects them with other students from all over the world with different perspectives on responsible leadership. And this is very important to have these understanding as well, that things can be different according to your background. And you can be inspired by what others are doing and how others are doing, how others are leading, for example, and that can help you shape the way you want to lead as well, as a responsible leader. So I think those kind of projects and those kind of events are key for students to integrate the reality, because we live in this global world with different local realities, and everything should be taken into consideration, and it's very difficult. It's something that I think at the moment the higher education system is not doing so well yet, and that's why we need those extracurriculum events and activities for the students to experience this, right? And for the students to get some tools and some inspiration and some ideas on how to act, because the goal of Next Gen Lead is for the next generation of leaders to really be able to feel equipped in order to act responsibly, right? Today already and tomorrow when they will be in their careers. So on that part, I think this is the key role of Oikos International as a student organization to help the other students to go on that journey. And as you can see, Next Gen Lead is not done just by Oikos International. We have support from foundations, we have support from other organizations such as Swissnext Network and Swissnext Brazil in particular. So we have plenty of interviewers that who are, you know, in the business sector or in the NGO sector, or they are, you know, entrepreneurs. So there are many different, there are professors. So we have different stakeholders involved to make sure that those students going through this program can really integrate that. And the end goal of everything is to have Next Gen Lead, for example, included in the education itself. It would be great to have such hand-on program for students and get credits for those things, because that's what will help them to become the leaders they need to be to face the challenges that they will face, right? We don't have the answers of each challenge, but we have, you know, a mindset, we have competences and how we can use those, you know, when you're facing a challenge. And we cannot, as I said, have the specific answer, but we can equip with the behavior and all the different skills that could be needed in order to face those unknown, most of the time, challenges of the future, even though we have unfortunately some kind of an understanding where we're going towards to now, which is sometimes not so like a beautiful picture for us at youth. And feeling equipped is, I think, one of the main needs that we are feeling those days.
Yeah. Wow, thank you so much for that. Like, you mentioned something that I think is really important, especially for students, like, or people in college or university at the moment, how important it is to actually like be part of an extracurricular program, like oikos, the oikos chapters, or an environmental club, or any sort of clubs within your university, because you guys are actually filling in the gap that you see that higher learning education is like missing out on, and which is equipping students with tools and skills that they will need when they eventually step out into the world and become the next generation of leaders. So kudos on that. Like, that is like awesome. Uh, you mentioned like you partner with a lot of people and how you have to align your goals and your objectives with each of the people that you, all the stakeholders that you are coming together with, like to promote this next generation of leaders and leadership in general and sustainability. Can you tell us how it is like to navigate that relationship? Because I don't think it's easy. You mentioned that it's people from all over the world, because like we're a global organization now, it's a global network, and you have to navigate between different perspectives, different cultures, different movements, how people think and perceive certain situations. Can you tell us how you guys navigate that path? And yeah, just talk to us about that.
Yes, here it goes with a bit of the system thinking as well, right? We're in this big system, and it's not easy indeed. And this is something to experience already as a student through the activities being done either at the local level again or at the international level, because this is needed later on for whatever activity job you're gonna do, right? So it's very good to have this experience, this hand-on experience as a student. From my experience, I think it's, as I said before, listening to each other, understanding each other, like really not just saying yes I understand, no, really trying to put yourself in the shoes of the other. And I think it's very important, and it's part of being a responsible leader as well. Those are attributes to of a responsible leader, and it's easier to say than to do. Like most of the time. That's why, as I talked about, walking the talk is very important, but not easy. Um, if students do that at the local level already in whatever, you know, organizations they are part of or any projects they are part of, it's already a great experience. We talk in our course about learning by doing. Experiential learning is very important to us. It's something that is coming up in the higher education slowly. It's not there yet fully, and now also moving everything online, there are some adjustments to be done for the higher education institutions, right? However, with oikos being a laboratory, as I said, and many student organizations are like this, right? Students can already experience, learn by doing, you know, establishing those partnerships with other stakeholders, try to understand their needs, try to, you know, understand your own needs better as well, because sometimes it's not so clear. Try to also see what's going on around, because the environment is always changing. So the partnerships might also evolve throughout the month or the years accordingly. And so that's why it's still always connected to change and innovation, because, you know, it's also how can you bring the change, how can you innovate with them? And it should be clear, we should really have the expectations being set from the start, right? We should be transparent and clear with why we are in here, why do we want to make the change, what do we want to innovate in the education system, and why are you on board as well? Maybe it's for the same reasons, maybe it's not, but if you don't ask the question from the start, you might have issues later on to solve, because it was not clear what you were expecting from this project or what you were expecting from each other, because you come from different perspectives, as I said. So in stakeholder relationship, is what is key is the constant communication, I would say, and be fine with at one point it's not working anymore, because the directions are changing within organizations, right? According to how the world is evolving as well, and it is evolving at a very fast pace. So the needs of the different organizations and stakeholders involved in one project can evolve as well. So it's very important to always check that out with the different stakeholders involved. The more diverse, the hardest, but the better. Yeah. We should not go to the easy way. We should, I think, really try to have this harder way, which I said already would bring the higher impact of the project, of the change you want to do at a local level, at the international level. And what I said can be applied for many things. Here we're talking about education, right? It is really key to have on board the students, the NGOs, the civil society, the academia. Very key to have the academia, the staff of the university you are in, and the businesses, the corporates, because you're going to work there as well later. So you need to make sure that how we are going to equip the students now with the skills, the tools, etc., is also fitting the challenges that companies are going to face in the near future, right? So it's coordinating everyone, not easy job, but needed job.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to take you back to you introducing yourself earlier. You said you are the current Oikos International President, and you've held this post for 2 years, but you've been with Oikos since like you were at university. So my first question is, how has being part of Oikos as a student helped you out? Like, what skills have you gained? How much has it actually prepared you for the real world? And can you tell us also about having that role as the president of Oikos International?
That's a very interesting question. Yes, what we need to understand about the student organizations in general, in the higher education system, is that they are shaping you more than any other experience you're going to have most likely in your life. Why? Because you are becoming an adult. You're getting independent. You're getting the mindset that you might keep forever, right? You're building yourself. Your personality is getting, you explore it, you discover things, and then you build your adulthood basically on the experiences you are um, living while being a student. So for me at Oikos, I can really say that it really helped me to get the mindset and to feel more equipped, because I felt like the education I was receiving, I was doing a master in management, and it was good. It was telling me what was happening those days, how companies were, managing things, and how to, do accounting, how to do HR, how to, do project management, all those things, which is great. However, um, I've never done anything about remote leadership or remote working. And if you look at today, we are many companies around the globe needs to be remote, right? And with Oikos, I was already remote because I was exchanging with students from all over the world. I was after being part of the chapter, I was also part of the board of Oikos International. We were from different countries and living in different countries, so working remotely already. So as I said, it's all about learning by doing with Oikos. It's all about being part of a beautiful laboratory, and you really gain skills ahead of time. And that's what I like also in Oikos, is really um, to always push a little bit more the students. I always, try to find the new things, the things that we need and are not there yet, right? Um, so I think it made me more aware of the different realities around the globe. Because making a decision later, if I'm in a big company, for example, let's say multinational, I have to make a decision, but it's going to impact local branches of the company in many different ways according to the culture of the people, the habits, and all the differences you can find, even though it's the same company. And it's something that is not necessarily well taught, I would say, in um, the education system today. And it's something extremely needed to be a responsible leader. So this is a very concrete example, but there are many others. I went through a leadership program that really helped me to understand better who I am and where I want to go. And I can really do that from the start and not wait several years before, finding out those answers. So I think it is also accelerating a little bit this understanding of you, so you can act more responsibly. You can act in very true to your own values and be more yourself, and then help others to grow as well. Because I think this is part of leadership, right? You need to leading is not just leading a company or a project, is leading people as well. And by being, you can lead without noticing that you're even leading. And I think all those components are a little bit missing in the education system as it is today. And it's what Oikos and many other organizations are trying to do as well today, to bring that in, for now with extracurriculum activities, but slowly getting that in the curriculum itself. And that's why we need all the students to take that into consideration, so the students can work on this, collaborate with the different stakeholders of their own local universities, so then they can bring this change and innovate in that way in their own university.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So the reason why I asked you that question, I wanted to show or bring out how much of a difference organizations like Oikos International actually have in people's lives, and how partnership with different organizations will actually like propel and spread that growth like for you, for example, you mentioned how you weren't actually getting all the skills that you needed from the classroom, from learning about business management and all. But like being part of Oikos International or being part of Oikos itself um, helped you gain certain skills. It helped broaden your mind, broaden your perspective, and it already taught you this world of remote learning and remote working with people from across the globe before a lot of people even knew about it. Like, so it actually prepared you for a time like now, the time that we're in right now, which is really awesome. So I must say again, it's awesome that Oikos International actually works with other people and actually sets out to transform the educational system and make sure that students in universities or colleges around the world uh, have that platform to gain skills and tools that they'll actually need for the real world. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Maybe to add on, last point is how can us, Oikos International, can support any student to make the change happen locally. So as we said, there are those programs like Make the Needs or the Curriculum Change initiative that we're leading, or the positive impact rating, because we're doing a lot in at the international level in terms of changing accreditation systems, because this is very important for universities and business schools around the world. So at the international level, we really work there to try to bring this change there. So it is infused and the change will happen locally as well. I think there are very hand-on things that you can take from Oikos International, except from all those, programs that we're doing, is we have a case program. There is a case collection. It is for free. Those cases are all related to sustainability. So you can go there, check the cases, see what case could be useful to your university, present that to your professor, and it's a way to make the change happen very concretely and in a not so much disruptive way. So it might be more acceptable as a first step from the academic and members of the university. So this is very, very concrete. And then there is also, the fact that we are present there in boards of international organizations, or we have articles in the Financial Times, is really something that you can use to show how students are making the change and how your voice is credible to make the change happen locally. So use all those tools. We also publishing books, so you can also find different books on sustainability, in which student organizations, it's not just Oikos International, but other student organizations are raising their voice to explain a little bit more how to embed sustainability in higher education, and in our case in economics and management education even more, even though transdisciplinarity is very important. So one of them is the Encyclopedia of Sustainability in Higher Education from Springer. We also try to develop trainings, and with UN Climate Action Working Group, we help them develop a carbon literacy training that can be taken by students, and that can be also taken by professors, and the professors being equipped, they would be able to really bring that in their own classrooms as well later on. So there are many things that international student organizations are doing. So at the local level, you can use those things to really make the change happen, and bring the credibility that sometimes student organizations are lacking, because the other stakeholders are not taking us, due to our lack of experience, according to them, as seriously as they should. And I think it's very important to not just say, let's change the system, but come with concrete, constructive proposals to put on the table that can be discussed, even though they are not taken onwards. Then at least you're there on the table, you're there around the table, and you're okay, and you see how other things can be developed with all those different stakeholders to make this change and innovate together.
Wow, thank you so much, Clementine, for that. Like, even for giving us the tools, like directing us to all those places where we can um, learn from oikos, like not only us as students, but also with our lecturers and professionals, like also the academia can come in and gain more experience and expertise. Like, that's really amazing. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Thank you for the work that you're putting in to transform our higher learning institutions. The partnerships that you're building and the skills that you're instilling in us, it's really amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Penelope.